Hello and welcome. Today I'm very excited for my new himi gouache. I have used it before like a year ago, but it was all dried up. Anyhow, the himi team themselves sent me this set to try out, so I'm very grateful for that. But the video isn't sponsored. I have not been a big fan of himi gouache, but I'm open to trying it out again. And the reason why I say this is because I have used some way better gouache paints which are artist quality, and himi isn't my favorite because it's student grade, and it would be wrong of me to expect too much from them as they're not meant for artist use. I got the 18 color set, which is very convenient for me as I prefer to mix my own colors. And the box came with 3 brushes, and I've always felt like himi brushes that come with the set are really great as they maintain their shape very well and are great for beginners to work with. I feel like the most satisfying part of getting new himi gouache was unboxing them and seeing just how pretty and delicious they look. Some of these little tubs were very difficult to open, but others were relatively easier. And I figured out if you're having difficulty removing the lid from one end, then try to take it off from a different end, as that worked for me, so I hope it works for you as well. Overall, unboxing them was such a messy process, but I regardless enjoyed it. I got 2 different tubs of white paint. One of them is titanium white and the other is mixing white, which is a little warmer than the titanium. And I'm glad that they included 2 whites as it gets used up quicker than the other colors. I absolutely loved how vibrant they all look in their tubes, and I think a big part of using himi gouache is actually the aesthetics. If we talk about the color selection in this palette, I think it is just the right amount of cools and warms for a beginner to work with. It also comes with a transparent mixing palette, which I remember used to be of the same color as the outer box, and I think they did a great job by redesigning that part and making it transparent, as it makes the mixing bit just a tad bit easier. Moreover, I do feel like this is a complete kit for a beginner to start working with, as it comes with nice hefty amount of paints, so you won't feel guilty about using too much of it, as well as 3 very convenient and nice quality brushes and a transparent mixing palette as well. With the himi gouache, I also received this gouache pad, and it was a little odd and surprising for me, as 2 sides of this pad were actually glued together so the paper won't buckle while using a wet layer of paint. While I was doing the swatches, I found it difficult to get an even layer of paint on the paper, and that's because the binder was floating on top of the tubs, which made its top layer more slimy, and I should have given them a stir before the swatches to get the results I wanted, but it's okay, we move. Moving on to the painting part of this video, I'm just taking out a bunch of colors that I usually have on my palette. I took out warm red, lemon yellow, cadmium yellow, ultramarine blue, burnt umber, and black for the darkest of values. I took paints out on my palette beforehand so I can close the lid of my himi palette just so they don't dry up, as they tend to do that very quickly. I had my sketch ready before starting the painting process. Starting with the painting, I kind of had a rough idea of where I want to go with it, and that I want to keep the main focus on mostly her face and give her that natural peachy glow. So I began by mixing some orangey browns, and you will notice how my processes look so messy, and that's because when I mix a certain color, I try to paint all the areas that might need that color at the same time, so that kind of saves a lot of time for me and makes my process time shorter, and that's why my artworks start looking like something only when they're nearing the end of the process. For the darkest values, I do tend to reach for the ivory black on my palette, even though I don't use it to mix my colors, as it makes mixes look more grayish, which I like to avoid. Also, I use black only for my darkest values like the eyelashes or eyeliner and the darkest bits on the insides of the mouth. it came to painting the body, I have to admit I might have struggled a little bit, especially for her chest area, as I had to make it look more subtle while still adding the curve to it. And it might not look like it, but there was a lot of going back and forth on that area. I have a habit of painting just the face and ignoring the body, but this sketchbook kind of pushed me to work on that aspect of my painting, as it is just the perfect size to try and pursue painting the whole body, including the face, and I thoroughly enjoyed the process because of it. For the hair, I am using a mix of black and burnt umber just to get those very dark values, as her hair is mostly black with a tint of brown. And I apologize about the focus of my camera on this part of the video. I should have been more careful while recording the video about the settings of my camera. By the way, I love how her hair is wavy with a certain amount of volume, so it kind of adds a shape to the painting in a beautiful manner. Talking about the himi gouache pad, it surprised me very pleasantly, as it kind of allowed me to layer gouache so beautifully. Even though it was student grade gouache, I was able to layer it very well, and the paper didn't absorb much paint, which kind of led to lesser amount of color shifts happening, so I was very happy about that, as the color shifts in gouache are very frequent and can be annoying, and part of it is also because of the paper we use. For example, my other sketchbook from Stillman and Byrne, even after being 300 GSM, causes a lot of color shifts by absorbing the paint, which was not the case with this pad. Moreover, I really liked using the himi gouache as well this time, as it was working really well after I stirred it up once. Even though it's not the best gouache set out there, it is still good to work with. I did find mixing colors with it more challenging, but it is something that I personally can work around. And also reactivating the dried gouache on my palette was also a task. It became very stiff after drying up, so it's better to keep spraying some water on it from time to time, just to avoid that stiffness and to keep the paints moist. I also really like working on her dress. I'm not used to painting clothes, but it is something that I would like to learn more about, as I feel it is such a tricky subject, and different types of fabric look so different. It is a really vast topic in itself, but I anyhow would like to learn at least the basics of it, so I'm able to salvage that better in my future paintings. I also want to mention that you might notice a difference in my voice in some of the videos, and that's because sometimes my friend records the voiceovers for me just because I feel a little bit too insecure about my voice sometimes. But I do want to work on that aspect of myself as well and try to record the voiceovers for my future videos myself. And that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed the process as much as I enjoyed painting it. See you guys next time.